Our assigned topic is all about supervising office employees.
Supervising office employees is one of the common responsibilities of the administrative office manager. His or her success as supervisor is often a direct determinant of the success of the unit for which he or she is responsible. So, in this case, supervisors are expected to perform with integrity, efficiency, and honesty in the field of organization.
Leadership. Leadership is the ability to get things done through and with others. So as a leader or assigned leader, you cannot finish the task without the help of your team or with your workers. Next, we have the behavioral theory of leadership or leadership styles. First, we have the autocratic approach, the democratic approach, and the laissez-faire approach. In autocratic approach, supervisors make decisions without seeking the ideas, suggestion, or recommendation of their subordinates, and they exert extensive control over the behavior and action of their subordinates. So in autocratic approach, supervisors make decisions without seeking the ideas, suggestions, or even recommendations of their subordinates. Subordinate means something like lesser and positions sa company or in sa work. There are situations in which autocratic approach may be appropriate. First, an emergency situation. Second, in situation that requires an immediate decision. Then the last one is the new employees who is unfamiliar with the task or he or she is expected to perform. In democratic approach, supervisors make extensive use of the ideas, suggestions, and recommendations of their subordinates. They often invite subordinates to participate in making decisions about the situation that may affect the subordinates. So in autocratic approach, if an supervisor can make decisions without seeking the ideas ng subordinates, sa democratic approach, they oftenly invite the subordinates to participate, especially in making decisions na maka-affect sa ila or sa subordinates. There are situations in which subordinate approach is well suited. First, sufficient time is available to permit subordinate participation. Second is significant pending changes requires significant subordinate input. And the last one is situation or problems confronting the work group need to resolve. So the last approach that we have is the laissez-faire approach. It gives the subordinates considerable freedom and provides little supervisory input. So in laissez-faire approach, they considered freedom or they give considerable freedom and provides even a little supervisory input sa ilang mga subordinates. Laissez-faire approach is well suited for this situation. Like, work group is highly skilled and well educated and is comprised of a number of temporary or less employees. So in connection with leadership, we have here the leadership orientation, the achievement-oriented supervision, and the subordinate-oriented supervision. So as a behavioral theory examines the nature of the supervisor's orientation towards subordinates. In achievement-oriented supervisor, it mainly concerned about the subordinates' achievements. So ang sa achievement-oriented supervisor it mas concerned siya sa achievements ng subordinates, while the subordinate-oriented supervisor, it mainly concerned about the subordinates' welfare or something like mga karasawan. Here's the situational theory of leadership. First is based on the belief that the amount of the leadership a supervisor should exert will vary from situation to situation, because some situation requires extensive amount of leadership, other situation requires much less, and amount of leadership exerted ranges between boss-centered or autocratic and subordinate-centered democratic extremes.
There are 5 functions of supervisor, and these are the following: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. When we say planning, it is the amount of time consumed by planning is generally directly related to the hierarchical level of the supervisor. Next is organizing. This function involves in determining which subordinates are best qualified to perform a certain task. Next is staffing. This function involves in selecting new employees, orienting and taking them, appraising them, and etc. Next is directing. This involves in leading, motivating, developing, and appropriately recognizing subordinates. Last is controlling. This involves comparing actual result, which anticipated result, using appropriate standards, and then taking corrective action with.
So today I'm gonna explain to you guys about the characteristics of effective supervisors. So there are 5 characteristics of it, and these are: number 1 is getting others to cooperate. So as a supervisor, you are not just focusing to a one person, but you are focusing to a group. So you should have the idea to how to make your employee to cooperate to the task that is given to you. And for the second, for effective supervisor, is listening to others. As a supervisor, you should attentively listen to the suggestion or to the idea of what your employee is given to you, so that they can also cooperate, so that they have also part to that task. And for the third is delegating responsibility. Delegation does not involve telling people what to do, rather it involves explaining the outcomes and result they are expected to achieve. They are then expected to work out the how and the steps involved. So for effective supervisor is understanding subordinates. So you should encourage your employee to voice out their opinions and ideas about the project or the task that is given. And for the fifth, for effective supervisor is you should treat them fairly. For the fifth is treating others fairly. You should treat them fairly. You should not have a special treatment to your employee. So that's it for characteristics of effective supervisor. And for the next is special skills of supervisor. So there are 7 skills in which supervisors have, and these are the following. Number 1 is conceptual, human, technical, teaching, coaching, and counseling, communication. So you should have that kind of skills as a supervisor so that you can be the best supervisor in your company. So that's all.
Special responsibilities of supervisor and disciplining employees. Supervisors have an important responsibility in helping employees to plan their career goals. This involves helping subordinates to assess their strengths and weaknesses and develop a strategic plan to attain their goals and put their plans into action. Supervisors have a significant impact on getting their subordinates to have ethically. Therefore, supervisors must have ethically themselves. Supervisors and subordinates can develop a code of ethics by which all employees are expected to live. Supervisors play a significant role in reducing employee tardiness. Typically involves in progressive penalties. Might involve in rewarding employees for being punctual. Supervisors must set themselves a good example. Supervisors play a significant role in controlling absenteeism. 10 to 20% of the workplace is responsible for 75 to 80% of the absenteeism. Some absenteeism is caused by a lack of job satisfaction. Personal day program help reduce absenteeism. Supervisors are involved in alcoholism and drug abuse programs. Supervisors are responsible for helping detect employees who have such addiction. New philosophy is to help employees to get treatment while maintaining employment status. Supervisors are responsible for helping prevent subordinates' stress and burnout. Techno-stress, resulting from the introduction of technology into employees' work, is of increasing concern. Supervisors are responsible for assuring employees are not sexually harassed. Supervisors must know what constitutes harassment. Supervisor must also know provisions of federal and any existing state laws that make sexual harassment illegal. Supervisors are responsible for dealing with multicultural issues. Organizations are increasingly becoming multicultural. Multicultural training accomplished by attending seminars, workshops dealing with this topic, engaging in self-study, and enrolling in courses dealing with multicultural diversity. Disciplining employees. Disciplining subordinates is an important role of supervisor. The organization generally designs a process that results in the application of uniform and appropriate action taken against subordinates. Disciplinary interviews may be an important component of the disciplinary process.
Terminating employees. At while hiring, an employee is hired to work for an indefinite length of the time and he or she has no employment rights specified in an employment contract, civil service regulation, or an collective bargaining agreement. Therefore, an employee can quit or he or she can be terminating well. At-will termination has generally been replaced with just cause termination. Just cause termination is a process that necessitates undertaking alternative actions to avoid having to discharge an employee. Working with union, supervisors are responsible for work with union. When the organization are unionized, supervisor must understand various and provision for the labor agreement, including the promotion, layoff, and recall.